Hello, everybody. How are we today? My name is Isaiah, and I am one of your hosts here at Cuzzo-Op. I'm also known as IV, and I am joined by my usual co-host, the one, the only,
Willie, also known as Arrow.
Arrow to the face, you know what I mean? We're here for episode 51 of Cuzzo-Op, where we are continuing our trilogy set of episodes where we are recapping the different mediums that we talk about here at Cuzzo-Op. We started off with episode 49, where we talked about video games in 2023. Then last week, we stopped and talked about TV in episode 50. And then today, whenever you're listening to this week, we are going to start talking about movies in 2023. And it feels like this just makes sense. Movies is a much bigger conversation than both TV and video games feels like this year. There's just so much to talk about. Be warned, there's no way we can talk about it all. So what you can expect, much like other episodes here at Cuzzo-Op, is our thoughts on what's worth watching, even the mention of a couple movies that aren't worth watching. And we were just looking at the stats of how much we've talked about movies this year, and we found out there are 11 distinct episodes where we spoke about nothing but movies. A specific movie is focused on, or maybe a movie award show is focused on. And so we thought that would be a great way to start today's conversation, just going through those episodes, looking back. So, Willie, do you remember our first film that we jumped into when we talked about just a movie here at Cuzzo-Op 2023?
Yeah, it was one of the first episodes of Cuzzo-Op. Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
It's been some time. Do you still feel the same way you felt? I think back then you gave it a 7 out of 10. I think I gave it around 6.5 out of 10 or something like that. Still feel the same?
Yeah, 7 out of 10. It's a fun movie, enjoyable elements that we might not even see in the future that we were hoping to because of reasons. 7 out of 10. Yeah, most of my thoughts from that episode remain. So you could really just go back, listen to that, and understand where I'm coming from.
Yes, sir. We recommend you go back. If you're a Marvel head, especially, go back and watch that. And I'll stop. I'll just tip my hat. Yo, John Majors kind of acted crazy in that film. He really held that film together. Me personally, look, regardless of what he's done, regardless of whether or not Kang is gone, it's like, that's what I remember from Quantumania, if I'm honest. But continuing to keep it pushing. Next thing we talked about movie-wise was we stopped and talked about the Oscars, episode 6 of Cuzzo-Op. And the Oscars are coming up. We'll be talking about those Oscar snubs and stuff some point in this episode, but you can expect another Oscars episode from us here at Cuzzo-Op this year, 100%. So keep your eye out for that one. Continuing in the Marvel conversation, our next episode focused on a movie was A Ways Away, and it was episode 16, where we stopped and we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn's last letter of love to Marvel. How are we feeling about that one, bro? Are you still feeling the same? Because back then, you were like, it could have been better. And I was like, I want to punch you through the screen. Don't know what you're talking about.
Was it could have been better, bro?
Yeah, you need to listen to yourself on that episode. You was kind of talking crazy.
I think... I don't think I was talking crazy, bro. I just think you text me talking about top 5 Marvel of all time, and I thought that was kind of wild. So I knew that already I needed to enter the episode going up against top 5 Marvel of all time. I don't understand that. That's kind of where I was entering that.
I still stand on business in regards to that phrase.
I still don't understand it. But I respect it. I rewatched the film for the first time this week, actually, that we are recording this. I enjoyed it. It's a very enjoyable film. It's actually a great film, best Marvel film in 2023. And depending on the day, yeah, it might be my favorite Marvel film of 2023, depending on the day.
I mean, that should say it all. Look, my big thing with Guardians was that it made me cry. And I don't think that Marvel movies make me cry. They just don't. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, Mr. Stark, I'm melting. In Infinity War, everybody was boo-hoo-hooing when Thanos won. I was in the cut like, this movie's brilliant. I didn't get emotional. This film got me emotional. Something about that Rocket Raccoon redemption moment of crying out when he lost his friends to crying out while he's dancing with his friends. Still one of my favorite moments of the year, movie-wise. Go back, listen to episode 16 of Cuzzo-Op. Hear all of our thoughts there if you're interested, especially, again, if you're a Marvel head. Moving forward, still in that Marvel conversation, but we're talking about a movie that is critically acclaimed and probably one of the most talked about movies of the year. Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. We talked about that in episode 20 of Cuzzo-Op. How are we feeling about that? Is it still the 9 out of 10 damn near perfect film, or?
It is. However, for me, and it's just based on my tastes and all, there was a day a few months ago where I threw on the first half of this movie, then paused it as soon as Miles started multiversal travel and walked away. And I felt good. I felt like I enjoyed my experience. The first half of the movie, I just find so much more enjoyable than the second half. But there's many reasons why that could be. Either way, it's a 9 out of 10. Go back, listen to the episode. My thoughts are all really there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes that we recorded this year, because that was just a great film, just a beautiful film. Episode 20 of Cuzzo-Op. Then we move forward and switch gears from Marvel to DC. Episode 22, we talked about The Flash, and The Flash is still trash. Nah, I'm wilding. It's not trash, but it's definitely more in the mediocre category of the year. For me, for a lot of people, you know what I mean? It didn't save DC by any means. It was never gonna.
The Flash, when talking about in-theater movie experience, walking out of that film, it might have been the most fun I had watching a movie this year. I'm just going to be honest. It was just fun to see The Flash, Batman, all of these crazy things. It's a 7 out of 10, maybe even a 6 out of 10, but just a fun time, you know.
Okay, bro. Word. Respect. You a DC head, though, so I respect that. Respect. I just, now this was also very much the mediocre calm before the storm, because this film came out at the top of the summer, but somewhere toward the middle and end of the summer is when Barbenheimer popped up on the scene. All right. So episode 28 and 29 dropped at the same time. We gave them that Barbenheimer double pack of Barbie and Oppenheimer. And I'm here to say, go back and listen. Why? Because we talk that talk when we're looking at Barbie as a film. I've told so many people this even in the last couple of weeks, as there's a lot of fanfare about Barbie with all the Oscar and the award shows going on right now. Barbie is a statement movie. It's a statement piece. They're talking about something. They're making a declaration about where we are as a society, and they're using the vehicle of Barbie to do it. And I thought it was very tasteful. It was well written, and all of our thoughts are in that episode. We kind of thought the same on that one. Recommend going back, but I'll give you some room to talk a little of that Oppenheimer episode 29, bro. Is it? Is it still the one? Is it the one?
We will find out if it's Cuzzo-Op's movie of the year or not towards the end of this episode. We're gonna find out. All I know is everything Chris Nolan had done since Following led to Oppenheimer, and this is his piece to showcase, here's everything I've learned as a director. Here is my gift to the audience. That's what Oppenheimer was, bro. A heavy, fantastic 10 out of 10 movie, in my opinion.
My bro, it's cinema. It's just cinema. It's just so good. Episode 29. Make sure you go listen. Episode 31, a couple episodes later, we jump back into that DC world, and we decided to have some fun talking about Blue Beetle. And that episode kind of came and went, I feel like.
The most average superhero movie I've ever seen in my life in the year of 2023. We should not be getting superhero films that are like this movie. I'd rather get a bad 5 out of 10 superhero film that tried to do something different than a super average 7 out of 10 with a spice because of the family, with the spice.
Blue Beetle, we did do an episode on that for if you're the 1% that's interested. You can definitely check out episode 31. We gave movies a little bit of time to breathe, and then we hopped back into the movie conversation in episode 39, where we talked about The Creator. And you can listen to the episode and listen to the background, but I left that film. I texted Willie immediately, and I said, hey, man, I need an episode on this particular film because, and I stand on this. Please listen to me closely. This is one of, if not my favorite film I saw this year. It was from top to bottom, beginning to end. It made me geek out and cheer for the fact that I love movies. Like, this was one of those movies where I was like, man, I'm so glad that I love movies. If I didn't love movies, I wouldn't be sitting here geeked AF right now. And that's just how it made me feel.
I love that for you, because on my Letterboxd top favorites of 2023, it's not even top 20.
That's fine. And I understand why. And we talk about that. We wrestle. Shout out to my boy George. Episode 40, next episode after that, we talked about Five Nights at Freddy's, and we had my little brother Javian hop on for that episode. How are we feeling about that one? I mean, it broke records, dude. It's the most watched horror film.
That don't matter to me.
I know, but it's still an accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment because it got all the game fans to go watch the movie. Yes, it's an accomplishment, but that doesn't speak to the quality of the movie. I stand by that. It doesn't, because Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time. That don't mean shit, bro. Quality is quality. And FNAF, it was like a ice cream truck handing out Easter eggs to little children, bro. That's what FNAF was. No disrespect, but the movie's just not as good as people think it is. Just because it drops Easter eggs every 5 minutes, it's not.
Episode 42 that we had was our final movie episode of the year. And we talked about the Marvels. And I think this was a fun time. I'm not saying it was stupendous, but what I did say in the episode, I'll say here, quick summary. This was the first movie in a while from Marvel that made me go, oh, they might be cooking. They might connect some dots. I remember when I saw that Thanos scene of, I'll do it myself, when he grabs the gauntlet. And that was like one of the first scenes in the beginning of Marvel's timelines where it was like, oh, there's an overarching story here that could be built up. This movie gave me some of that energy. It gave me some of that, oh, snap. Maybe there are things that are going to come together soon. So that's how I left feeling that movie, or that's how I felt leaving that movie is what I'm trying to say. So that's how I felt when I left that movie. And if you want to go back to episode 42, you could take a listen there. And that kind of wraps up the summary of the 11 different movie-focused conversations that we've had this year. Not paying mind to some of the news episodes, other things where we talked about it, but definitely a great way if you're looking for just movie conversations to navigate through what we've done here at Cuzzo-Op. So let's switch gears. Let's start diving into some other things that fell through the cracks. Conversations on movies that we didn't get to have this year on record, on wax. Let's start off with what's whack. What are some films you saw this year that made you go, I wish I never saw this? I wasted an hour and a half to 3 hours of my life.
There were many movies where I felt like I wasted my time watching. And I'm gonna pick a random one coming out of nowhere that, to be honest, I had heard so many great things about, and then when I watched it, maybe I did feel like I wasted my time. Flamin' Hot. I felt like I wasted my time watching that. I really do. Yeah, I mean, cool story, but then you look into it and you find out that even that might not be exact. The acting I didn't think was that great. And yeah, this was a movie that was actually trying to be good, because there are some movies that were just stupid and meant to be stupid, and I'd rather watch them a million times over. Teen Wolf the movie, bro. I know we love Teen Wolf here sometimes, depending on the day and the season that we're talking about and the characters we're talking about. Did you watch the Teen Wolf movie, bro?
I did not, bro, because I was gonna, and then I heard your opinion and I heard some of the gang's opinion that I used to watch it with, and I was like, I don't even want to be devastated. Let me just let my Teen Wolf memories be what they are in my mind. And there's no Styles, and there's no Dylan O'Brien in that bitch. Yeah, maybe I'll get to it one day.
This movie was just not good. It just wasn't a good route. It arguably may have even been racist, depending on who you ask. Yeah, yeah. And then another one for me, bro, was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. Um, it starts off promising and then kind of shifts the narrative to be on, I don't know if you want to call it a new legacy for Mighty Morphin with uh Trini's daughter, and she was terrible as the main character. But everything else from my boy Zach being the adoptive father trying to take care of this girl, and Billy out here trying to hold responsibility and holding weight for something that he caused, him feeling like she died because of him and everything. That was cool, but like the main point is a 5 out of 10 for me. This movie is cool, but like I wanted a lot more from a 30-year reunion.
Word. I feel that. I mean, it's interesting when I think about the concept of movies that are worth missing this year. I don't have a lot of them. I don't, and I don't know if it's because I watch movies and then I'm like trying to find the good in them, so I don't want to put them in the I'll miss this one kind of category. One movie that I can undeniably say though that I was very disappointed in was The Equalizer 3. Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. And I was having a conversation with Steven the other day about this. Shout out Steve. Stop. Stop.
Didn't your brother-in-law enjoys these movies, right?
Yeah, bro, because he loves Denzel. That's his man's. But this one, bro, in particular, I just felt like you ever seen the Disney movie Luca? it was it was it was it was Luca, but it was Equalizer. And I felt like it was trash. I felt like to go from the first movie, which was very interesting, so successful that they made a TV show. They made a TV show of this character and concept. That's dope. I love that. Then you watch the second one. Second one, they kind of went crazy because they allowed for stylistic choices. They go all out like that. I like that. Then you get to the third one, mid, bro. Tonally mid. They had Dakota Fanning in it. Supposed to be a Man on Fire comeback. It's just like they threw it in the trailers because they knew it'd get people to the theater, but they didn't capitalize on that at all. It was just really not worth my time. I was disappointed. Maybe I set my expectations too high. I don't know. That's one. Another one, Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, Murder Mystery 2. Garbage on Netflix. Garbage, bro. And the reason why it was garbage is because the first one goes hard. Now, this is a whodunit. This is a bunch of different mysterious folk that all come together in one moment. And Adam Sandler plays a detective who is retired and kind of on the end of his career. And he's revitalized by this private eye notion. Gets invited on this trip in the first film, and he helps solve a murder mystery that happens. In this one, another murder mystery happens, but we've got bad CGI. We've got all the things that made the first movie great, like the whodunit pieces that kind of feel like Clue. They just kind of like put a bunch of fluff around the story from the beginning to the end. You could tell who did it from the beginning. This just felt really undercooked, and it was unfortunate because my expectations were, oh, maybe we'll get something just as fun as the first one. So definitely not no Knives Out. I don't know if they thought they were Knives Out or what, but that wasn't it. And I think for mediocre stuff, that's kind of like all I got. That's kind of like, nah.
I mean, look, two more ones. Rebel Moon, bro. That movie was ass. And Zack Snyder knows it was ass because Netflix made him make this version because he said the only reason why he was able to make this version is because they promised him a Snyder cut. And that's ass. This movie is like if you take Star Wars A New Hope with some prequel elements and then you piss on it to water it down. You don't pour water on it, you piss on it to water it down. Looks cool sometimes, but the acting is okay. There are some actors in it that should probably stick to their roots rather than trying to actually become movie stars. It was just a bad movie. Not a bad movie, but a bad movie. Like, we'll see what Snyder does with his Snyder version, I guess. And then last but not least, I was in Texas last week and visiting IV. You know, we sat and we watched some movies. Or him and I watched a movie with his wife, and then there was a night where IV was tired, rightfully so he went to bed. So his wife ended up making food, and we sat and we watched a movie, and it was called Self-Reliance. It felt like the movie was always getting ready to begin, and then it ended. You know what I mean? It felt like something was always about to happen, and then it didn't. And then when stuff did happen, it was like, whoa, wait, it didn't feel like we were ready for this right now. Hold up. But Jake Johnson, for what he was directing for, I gave it a 5 out of 10, but I think this is one of his earliest attempts. So cool. Keep going. You had an interesting concept and just didn't know how to take it anywhere for me.
I feel that, bro. I feel that. I mean, again, he came from New Girl. He's trying to do his thing. Whatever. Do your thing, bro. I mean, you Peter B. Parker off the Spider-Verse, so you already cooking. There's some gas on there already.
And then last but not least, we got Zoe 102.
Jesus, peas and rice.
Is it mediocre? Yes, but was it also kind of fun to have everyone or almost everyone pull back up to do different things? Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was. I'll admit it. I was smiling during certain scenes just because I love Zoe 101 like that.
That's the strength of your childhood right there.
Go watch it. If you like Zoe 101, you may enjoy this. But if you don't like Zoe 101, don't even bother.
It's not worth the time. It's not worth the time. Word, man. So then let's move forward to films that, I guess if you had to say like out of 1 to 10, you give it around like a 7. Like a 7 or like an 8. Like not like your favorite stuff you watched this year, but these are pretty good. I would watch them. They're worth the time. They have special things in them. There's something worth time.
All right, well, for this category, I have this movie at a 6, but I didn't want to say it with the other movies I mentioned just before. Aquaman 2, the final venture into the DC universe. And it was a fun time that also just is a whatever time. I've always kind of believed that Jason Momoa was just a weird fit for Aquaman. But, the movie came and it went. It released and it pushed forward, and that's it. Aquaman 2 was a fun time. If you're expecting it to be a grand finale for the universe, don't expect that, because it was never going to be that. None of these movies were ever going to be that. But then to just jump right into a more enjoyable experience, Scream 6. Taking the story to New York City. Now, we've explained multiple times, we are from New York. I am from New York City. Ivy was a little bit up down, but I am from New York City. And so to see characters running around, hopping on the one train, hearing the correct stops be the next stop, and knowing, oh shit, they got at least 5 minutes till the next stop, and they're watching to make sure they don't get shanked here. Someone's getting shanked. They got 5 minutes on this train car. They ain't gonna last. That shit was fun. It was a fun time. I loved Scream 6. The twists, the characters, some of the kills, so stupid, but so fun. Just it really brought New York City into the Scream universe. It felt like New York was embodied by the kills and everything. Too bad they're folding on Scream 7 with their dumb hiring decisions and firing decisions, but we gonna keep it pushing, bro. If it's the last one we get, it was a good one to end off on.
I feel you. I need to go watch that one. I haven't seen that. I'm honestly slacking on Scream. I mean, go back to our 101 Getting Into Horror episode featuring Killer V. You can hear all about that discussion, but that was on Halloween also. Scream's one of those ones I got to jump into. But yeah, bro, my next movie I think for this category would probably be You People. I really rocked with You People this year. That's Eddie Murphy. That's Jonah Hill. A lot of conversation about race, romance film. Pretty sure her name is Lauren London, if I'm not mistaken. Nipsey Hussle's widow. She popped out for her first kind of big thing that she's done since he's passed away. The movie was fun, man. I really enjoyed the conversation, the commentary. It's a social commentary. It's a satire, and I like satires because they can kind of go off the rails a little bit. They have permission to. That's the whole point. And I think they do a great job at that. It's funny, dry humor, actual humor. Soundtrack went crazy. Podcast concepts. Here we are talking on a podcast about a movie that's about a podcast as well. Go see it. It's on Netflix. You people, definitely recommend it. Love that one this year. It's not like top, but it was definitely a great time.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. But another movie that I watched, and I'm also bringing this up for a particular purpose. There's a movie called Rustin. Some Oscar nominees in there, and I thought the movie was okay. I think I don't want to say it was an Oscar bait movie. There are other movies that I'm going to mention that do feel more Oscar baity, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of Coleman Domingo. He was a great lead actor. I've watched him on Fear the Walking Dead. He is what is rumored to be, if they decide to go in this direction, the John Majors replacement for Kang. From Fear the Walking Dead and this movie alone, absolutely. I'll take him. He would kill it. I think he would kill it. Seeing Chris Rock in this movie, though, bro, I'm not a fan of Chris Rock and his acting chops in many things.
Only thing he's ever done acting wise,
he peaked
bro,
with Madagascar. Bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's it. Zebra. That's it.
And Grown Ups. I like them in Grown Ups.
Yeah.
But an Oscar bait movie, bro, and I hate to say it, I feel like it's Oscar baity. But maybe I just need to look into it more. I did only watch it this week, Maestro, with Bradley Cooper, directed by Bradley Cooper, which is cool, which is why I also kind of feel like it's not Oscar bait, because I don't know if Bradley Cooper would choose his second director's chair to be Oscar bait, especially when A Star Was Born was really good. So, but yeah, this movie, I don't know. Something about it it didn't hit me the way I feel like it hit other people. Could he? Yeah, he's nominated for Best Actor. Sure, I could see maybe understand why he would be nominated, but I just felt like this movie was trying too hard to try and go for that award.
Yeah, man, I think that's how it is. I think when you're around some of the top guys, have been casted into some of the top guys' films, and you're going to come and become a director, it's kind of like you got to swing for the fences. Maybe that's a one for them, one for you type of situation. But at the same time, I was watching his Actors on Actors conversation. I believe it was with Emma Stone, if I'm not mistaken. And he just talks very passionately about this project, that he loved it. So I need to see.
You could feel it.
I need to see. Yeah, you could feel the heart. Yeah, and even just the trailers, even just a couple clips I've seen. Definitely will check it out. But another one for me, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. R.I.P. this film. Let me tell you why. They decided that they wanted to take this film and put it up against Barbenheimer. They're bugging out. We could take the Barb out, Oppenheimer. You're bugging out. Tom Cruise fought real hard to get IMAX screenage. We didn't care. I saw that Oppenheimer 70 millimeter film. You're sick. You're so sick. And yet, I did make a double feature out of it. Instead of seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer, I actually went on the same day, started with Mission Impossible, then saw Oppenheimer. And I was glad I did. Mission Impossible always has me on the edge of my seat. It's high-level action film. It's just good stuff in terms of seeing Tom Cruise doing another insane stunt. I've said this previously on record. He is one of the last great stuntmen alive that do this thing and still act. He's still, in the progression of tech, he's still putting himself in risky situations, risking his life to do big things on the screen. You feel that heart throughout the whole film. There are a couple sneaky cameos of big stars that you might recognize and notice. It's cool to see them in this universe. And it is a part 1. We're getting a part 2. So I like that to be continued notion as well. It was a fun time, great time. I recommend watching it. You have fun.
Yeah, man. I actually have a lot more of these kind of type films compared to some greats. Totally Killer. You may have heard Killer V recommend this on our Getting Into episode for horror. Yeah, go watch this joint, bro. It's exactly as he described, bro. If horror and Back to the Future had a child, this is what this movie is. Super ridiculous, and it was just a fun ass watch. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. It was cool. It was cool. And I'm not even a fan of Michelle Rodriguez, but I tolerated her in this movie. This movie was fun. I'm excited to hear that we might be getting more of these. I'm totally down for these type of movies. It was just a wacky fun time. You know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. Since you wanted to ask about, 8 out of 10s ish, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
Woo. Woo.
It's in my top 10 of the year.
It was a good film, man.
Really good, fun animation. The teenagers felt like teenagers, and there were so many scenes where I got hit with unexpected stuff, like No Diggity being played for a old boy montage fight sequence. Do you know how crazy that joint was?
It was beautiful, bro. It's probably one of the best parts of the film, that montage.
And then just relatability with these kids, these teenagers. Because I've been a teenager in New York City.
Bro, let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese, man.
Yeah, bro. And then there's just some funny moments, like to have the final fight of the movie just be an anime reference. Like, you know how they defeat the Titans on Attack on Titan? You gotta hit the neck. It's like, that's hilarious. W. Donatello. But that was fun. It was a fun time. New rendition of these characters. Mentioned it on a Getting Into episode for horror. Talk to Me, A24. I'm surprised you haven't even seen this because you love A24, bro.
I know, but it's you know how it is, man. Listen to that episode. Horror is not my thing.
True.
It's not my thing. True. I need to, though. My wife and I wanted to see that one.
That was a really fun time. It was another like, all right, I'm glad I watched this. In fact, I watched it twice the same night because I did a group watch. And I was like, yo, that was enjoyable as hell. But there was also a lot of laughs and a lot of like laughing at things maybe we shouldn't have laughed at. So I had to take it back. Like an hour or two after, I was just alone and I was like, let me run that shit back alone. A little less laughs, but still just as good. So yeah, that might be the last of these type of movies that I'm down to really talk about tonight. There's so many movies we could dive into. But comfortability level, I'm not gonna dive into Saltburn. I'm not diving into that, y'all. Yeah, Super Mario Bros. I don't really, we had some discussion about it.
Gaming W, bro.
Gaming W, yeah, of course. There's so many of these movies, but we got to move into the next topic.
Yeah, and before we do, I do want to stop and say Extraction 2 also came out this year or 2023, and I fell asleep watching it the first time. I was with the boys. They came over to the crib. We was watching it. I conked out. I was done. It was just not enough. I went back and watched it again. I guess I just like movies where I like to see the actor push themselves, and I like to see the directors do it too. So long shots that are, 3, 4, 5 minutes long of just straight up action that has to be done well or cut in certain ways. Extractions 2 is one of those. They got that courtyard of the jail fight scene with the Molotov flying, and it's super sick. The whole crazy. If you like action, watch that one this year too. And yeah, that's kind of us going through the decent films of 2023. And for our kind of final segment of recap before we really start putting a bow on things, let's talk about those films that took your breath away this year, that made you go, man, again, happy to be a consumer film of cinema right now. Like, this is it. This is what I'm talking about. This is good stuff. People need to see this one. I'll let you go first. What's one of those, man, that jumped out at you this year?
Well, bro, keeping in line with what you were just speaking about framing action sequences in good ways, taking different angles, hitting the one shots. John Wick Chapter 4. Fantastic fucking movie, bro. Did you watch this shit?
Of course, bro. Ip Man's in it. I had to see it. There was no other The Donnie Yen.
This movie was glorious, bro.
It was a beautiful film.
Bill Skarsgård, don't you just hate him? Don't you just love to hate Bill
Anybody
Skarsgård?
with the Skarsgård last name, bro, to be honest, respectfully.
They're deadly, bro. They're deadly. Clancy Brown was in this bitch. Keanu. Yeah, Keanu's not the greatest actor, but I will be there for him. Anytime he's John Wick, I'm there. The action sequence, 2 action sequences. Number 1, when they had the drone going up the stairs with him and it turns into a video game kind of where you can see into the rooms that he needs to go in and clear out, and it's just deadly as hell. 2, the stairs, bro, where he gets thrown down 200, 300, 400 steps. So ridiculous. So ridiculous. It's not the end of the universe. We know that. But will he be back? That's the real question.
I think so, man. I think it's impossible for him not to. I think Keanu gets off on these films. This is like his thing. You know, it's like when we talk about Liam Neeson, except he's got one film, one series that just keeps stacking and building. And I think it's so cool. Yeah, man, I loved him. And I love Donnie in that one, man. Donnie as blind Donnie was fire. Just that kitchen scene when he introduces himself while doing what he does in the beginning of the film. Crazy, bro. Crazy. That's just a great film. We love Donnie M. You know what I mean? I think for my first must-see, I want to talk about the movie we watched while you were here last week. A24, knocking it out the park. 2023 is just another year where they have established themselves as a production company that's not to be played with, even right down to the strikes and the way they handle the strikes. I just think at the end of the day, if it says A24, you can definitely expect some level of quality. And this film has that. You know, it's one of the nominated best pictures of this year. It's called Past Lives. Past Lives was beautiful. It has Greta Lee. Greta Lee is one of the bigger characters from The Morning Show on Apple TV. She plays Stella, if you're familiar with that show. But it's about an immigrant story from South Korea, a girl whose parents moved them and moved their family, and she comes to the States and she makes a life for herself. But there's a love story that's created in Korea that then she figures out how to navigate because they reconnect on the internet in the age of Facebook and Skype. And I love this film because they were able to capture the genuineness of just an intimate connection, something that was so innocent when they were children, and then it grows in a way that is I feel like if you have a heart, man, and if you've ever loved someone before, this movie will touch you. It'll touch you, and you can't help but want to see it all the way through, the way it plays out. And what I like about A24 is they do a lot of subversion in a way that is still in the direction of what you expect. I don't know how to describe it other than like the way they convey what they want you to understand. They don't just do it through the script. They do it through the way it's shot. They do it through the way that it's the sound behind it. They do everything. And there's just a lot of attention to detail in this film. All of it just makes your heart feel like mush. And we had a lot of dialogue amidst the movie. There is subtitles. There's a lot of Korean being spoken throughout the film. So that's definitely worth knowing. If you're not the type that likes to see a movie with a lot of foreign language and read subtitles, then this may not be the film for you. But if you love cinema and you're down to try anything, you're open to it, and you love an emotional story, something that's going to tug at your heart, this is one of those ones, 100%. So I love this film this year, Past Lives. That's a must-see on my list for sure.
It's absolutely a must-see. It was touching. It was touching. And the craziest part is, bro, if you really sit and you look into it, Celine Song, the director of this movie, this is her directorial debut.
It's her directorial debut, and it's an autobiographical tale.
Nominated for Best Picture.
It's beautiful.
The movie is beautiful. I don't even know if I would call it a love story. It's a love story, but not a love story that you may think it is. And the 3 main cast killed it. Yeah. Uh then I'm gonna move into a film called The Holdovers. Nothing about this movie is new. There's nothing in this movie that you haven't seen somewhere else in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't break ground. It doesn't try to do something different. It's just a story of three people who are all going through their own type of things and just somehow happen to find themselves in each other's presence during Christmas time. And through this 2-week period of being with each other over Christmas time, you get a wide range of change in characters, emotional connectivity. Paul Giamatti probably delivering one of his best performances of all time. Dominic Sessa proving that if Marvel wanted a young Reed Richards, why he could be the one to do it. Um, yeah, I thought it was beautiful coming of age story, looking back at your own life and changing, realizing you might be an asshole or just working through grief because you've lost a child. It's all here. It's all here. So, um, yeah, I would give it a try if you're looking for nothing about it is crazy action packed. No, it's a slow talking, just feeling out comfortability level Christmas time vibey 1970 movie, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you say it's a Christmas movie? Would you put it in the Christmas movie family? Like if they put Die Hard in that joint, then they would put The Holdovers.
This is it's not a Christmas movie, but it's a Christmas movie. Like it's there. It's there. Absolutely.
I'm definitely gonna have to see it, bro. I mean, shout out to Paul Giamatti. He's already won awards for it. Nominated for Best Actor. This is cool. You know what I mean? Big Fat Liar, bro. Paul Giamatti been around for a while. So I like this. What I like is that I do like actors that are still they've been around for so long and they're just now getting Academy Award recognition. Now, I think that's crazy. You know, I like those stories. So I definitely need to check that one out. Another one for me, bro, is let's talk some Pixar a little bit, man. Disney Pixar. Elemental came out this summer. And this is one of those films that I feel like on the marketing side of things, Disney didn't show a lot of love to this one. We heard about it a little at the end of 2021, top of 2022. And then I felt like we heard nothing from these people about this film at all. Good Dinosaur is another one that had that kind of a dynamic. That's like the first memory I have of a film that's like, this is out. That's how I felt about this one. And listen, I've seen this movie so many times. I've seen it probably 15 times at this point. And it's because my daughter, when she's a 2-year-old and when she falls into something and likes something, she wants to watch it on repeat. So I could probably recite the words of this movie without even seeing what's next, just off sound. This is a immigrant tale, Pakistani family, or kind of like allegory of a Pakistani family, immigrant tale. They talk about what it's like to have the pressure of being a immigrant whose family sacrificed for you to have a new life. They talk about the differences between your culture and the culture around you. They talk about privilege, white privilege. They talk about what it's like to fall in love and have human connection despite your differences. They talk about generational weight. What do you do when there's pressure on you, pressure on your shoulders, to figure out what to do with this thing that your parents have given you? There's so many different stories, and Disney's so good at taking complex ideas and getting it across in a very simple way. They do that. It's intimate. It's great. And then last but not least, man, it's just Pixar, bro. So the animation is going stupid. We're talking elements. We're talking fire. We're talking wind or air. We're talking earth. We're talking water. And you're seeing, it's just beautiful. The way you would think it needs to look is the way that it looks. I don't know how else to describe it. And so very much love this film. Highly recommend it. It's a sleeper hit from Pixar. It's going to be one of those ones people are going to be like, this is out. What is this? This is even, yes, it's out. Go watch it. If you have Disney Plus, there's no reason why you shouldn't watch this one. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a movie called Poor Things starring Emma Stone. And that joint was weird as hell. Not gonna lie to you. That shit was weird. If you don't mind sexually mature imagery and themes, you should probably see this, you know? It may be a little freaky, but it's imagine Frankenstein just telling the story of sexual development and maturity and manipulation and so many other things in a movie. Mark Ruffalo was in this. He was fantastic. Emma Stone, fantastic. Willem Dafoe, he was cool. I've seen him in other things better, but he's not really a main role in this. Yeah, it was a good movie. I'm not mad that I watched it.
Word. Yeah, no, I've heard about Poor Things, and it's obviously nominated for a variety of awards this year at the Oscars. But I've also heard it's a weird one. I need to watch it. I like Emma Stone. Me personally, I like Emma Stone ever since La La Land. I mean, before then too, but La La Land solidified to me respect for her as an actress. And so I definitely need to go watch it.
All right, bro. And you know, there's one more big one. For me at least. Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese, Leonardo, Robert De Niro. Killers of the Flower Moon is an important movie. It's an important movie because the movie is based on a true story. It is a story that Martin Scorsese felt he needed to tell. And it's about the Osage people and the string of murders that happened to their community in their time in you know, this movie like I said, is important because this story has never been told. Nobody knows about this, and he felt like he needed to do it. And according to people that are in this tribe to this day, they feel like Martin Scorsese honored them. People were worried, why is this dude telling a story about stuff he has no business telling? Because he felt moved to. And you know, it's unfortunate that people that are in these communities don't have the space to tell these stories the way they do. And I think it's good that Scorsese decided to use his movie making reputation and the ability that he has to just call anyone up and say, yo, I'm going to make a movie about this. And they're going to throw money at him to tell this story. Right? Because Scorsese could have told any story, right? He could have made Goodfellas 9 or another Taxi Driver, but he chose this, right? He stepped out of his own place, and the movie, it's a long one, you know? It's so when you go to sit down and watch this, make sure you're in the mindset for a very long, intense film. It was fantastic. Lily Gladstone, she was perfect as Molly Burkhart. I mean, every time she was on screen, I felt something. And then there are some other actors that pop up here and there in the movie where I'm like, I didn't even know you were in this, bro. I'm not gonna say them, just so if you haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, you can. But I think Killers of the Flower Moon is a movie that people should go and watch. I don't think, in terms of Best Picture, it can. I don't think it should get Best Picture, despite its importance. But yeah, this one was a heavy hitter. It was a good movie. It was, yeah, great movie.
I'm highly disappointed in myself for not watching it before we had this episode recorded. But at the end of the day, things beat things. So I definitely intend to see this one. I mean, they're putting all those Oscar films back up on the screen. This one never left the theater, I don't think, as of now. So I got to go see it in theaters, I think, before I watch it on my couch. I want to really see it in person. But yeah, man, shout out to Lily Gladstone. I'm hearing a lot about what she did and that she deserves to be an award winner for the Oscars this year. And
I'm giving her my vote. She wasn't as extreme as some previous winners. She wasn't as flashy as Emma Stone in Poor Things. She wasn't, you know, screaming into the camera and yeah. No. Her role was very precise, and she was very precise with every acting, motion, noise, you know, vocal switch up that she may have mid sentence that only hints at a certain attitude that they want her to give off in the movie. She has my vote for best lead actress. And some argue she's not a lead actress, and I think she is. This movie is nothing without her or her history. She's the main character.
Absolutely. You could tell that from the trailers, in my opinion. Again, we're coming up on the end of the episode here, and one thing that we want to talk is Oscar nominations in light of what we've shared about tonight. And I just want to talk a little bit about some snubs, bro. A couple of snubs. You can go look up the list right now. Who's nominated, who's not, who's already won awards at other award shows, who hasn't. Here's a couple things from me, and I got to put this on record. Ryan Gosling making his statement about Margot Robbie not being nominated for Best Actress and Greta Gerwig not being nominated for Best Director. I stand with him on that, 100%. I think the fact that both of them aren't on that list is quite wild. And I think sometimes it comes down to just the amount of options. I mean, if you look at Best Picture this year, there are 10 nominees. That's a lot of nominations. You know what I mean? It's hard to go from 10 pictures from a bunch of different genres and make one the best. It sometimes feels heinous. It sometimes like, this is stupid. Why are we even doing this? This movie's about war and crime, about a family that's trying to build a house outside of Nazi concentration camps. And this movie over here is about an immigrant love story from South Korea. Like, it's hard. It's hard for us to compare. And yet, when he says that Greta deserves to be here for the phenomenon, they created a phenomenon. And the film is going to be remembered for a long time. I just think as an accomplishment, this movie should have given her an opportunity to get a tip of the hat as a nomination, me personally. The only one I'd be willing to barter with is maybe Margot. Margot's done greater roles. She's done bigger things. That's fine. I think from a representation standpoint, it's wild, me personally. That's my first thought.
For me, right, I look at the nomination list and I've seen a lot of these movies, right? So if we jump to actress in a leading role, I've seen 4 out of the 5 of these movies. And I do think that the 4 out of 5 movies I've seen, those lead actresses were better than Margot Robbie was in Barbie. So maybe they needed more nomination spots.
It's funny. It's a funny situation, but it is what it is. Another thing, snub-wise, that disappointed me this year is the creator somehow got nominated for Best Sound, but it didn't get nominated for Best Cinematography. And I thought that was interesting. You know, there are countless articles and conversations about this. This is how I felt about Batman back in 2022, the Batman. I just think like there's always one film that goes above and beyond in the area of cinematography that gets snubbed. And this year it feels like it was the creator. They moved off of a very low budget. They went to actual locations and filmed on those actual locations. Then mixed CGI into it in a way that was tasteful and meta based on the story. I just feel like there were a lot of beautiful shots. The first shot of the film, you think it's a still picture, and then it's not a still picture. It's actually going to start panning forward now. Oh my God, it's panning. Oh my God, we're in this bitch. It's going crazy. I don't know. I just feel like they slept on this film, and I don't think as much as sound was great, I think if it was one or the other, cinematography should have made it over sound. So when I look at the other nominations, and I can't speak to all because I haven't seen them all, it's just disappointing to see that there. I think that's a snub, me personally. You know, I think there's only one last thing to talk about, bro. It's really to decide what is the Cuzzo-Op movie of 2023. And I think we know what it is, bro. It's Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer. Without a doubt. Every single place that Robert Downey Jr. is nominated in the Oscars, I hope he wins. Every single place that Cillian Murphy is nominated, I hope he wins. Every single place Emily Blunt, anybody from this film, bro, that pops up on the scene, when I'm hearing that they're winning, I mean, we got 13 noms. It's the most nominations that Nolan has ever seen. It's the 8th film in a row that he has had nominations for, starting from Batman Begins. And rightly so, man. Like you said, he's journeyed through all these films and created an amalgamation of everything he's learned in his journey of cinema and put it into one film. Just the energy from the Oppen homies has been stellar from all of the interviews I've seen especially amidst this time. It's just, I think this film was the one, bro. It was really the one.
And I don't think it was the one just because Nolan wanted it to be. Like, I don't think this was Oscar bait. This wasn't Nolan trying to win an Oscar. This is Nolan trying to make a movie. He was just trying to make a movie. He felt heavy about this one. And all I got to say is, bro, if Twilight, that Twilight never popped off the way it did, we would never have Oppenheimer.
I saw that tweet. Because we would have never had Robert Pattinson give the Oppenheimer book to Nolan on the set of Tenet, and then Nolan would have never gotten thinking about this, and that's cool. I like those connections. That sounds like something that Nolan can make a movie on. But considering my man Pattinson's role in Tenet, that's kind of wild. But anyways, man, I look at this film. I saw it in 70 mil. I've seen it digitally. I've seen it normally. I've seen it under the influence. I've seen it sober. I've seen it in every way, shape, and form, guys. This is just one of those ones. And for the haters that are like, it's all talking and there's no, I'm sorry, bro. Idiocy. All I'm hearing is idiocy from you, bro. There's a reason this is going to probably win Best Picture this year. There's a reason why it's stomping out competition around the whole industry. You know what I mean? I just got a lot of love for Nolan. I'm biased, but I feel like it's great when your bias is confirmed by society. It's the best. It's the best. That's how I'm feeling. I'm in bliss right now. 2023, our movie of the year is definitely Oppenheimer. Go back to that episode 29. Take a listen to that one as we talk all of our passion and kind of explain that. And if you're really interested in Chris Nolan movies, episode 27, we talk about all of Nolan's movies leading up to Oppenheimer too. So you definitely should jump into that. But we thank you so much for rocking with us through, if you've listened to video games in 2023, TV in 2023, and now movies in 2023. We're grateful for you. Looking back on what the year had to hold, we're excited for 2024's movies. There are a lot that are set up. There's a couple great films that we're looking forward to this year that we've already cast a vision for. As long as you ride out with us, you're going to be able to hear us talk about it. We're talking Imaginary Friends from Krasinski. We're talking Deadpool 3. We're talking Borderlands. We're talking everything, bro. It's everything. So just tap in with us. We'll be talking movies all year. More than 11 episodes, I'll tell you that. We're excited. And we're always grateful for our community. If you listen on YouTube, please be sure to put a little comment. Talk about what your favorite movie of 2023 was. Let's have some conversation. We'll also have that question prompted if you're listening now on Anchor or on Spotify. We love that interaction. It just helps us to know, okay, people are listening and they want to talk about this too. Let's do it. Let's converse. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cuzzo-Op. Remember, every time that you tap in with us, you listen to an episode, you're always going to find two cousins, one podcast, and endless entertainment. Peace.